Alright guys, welcome back to Subclass Series into the next subclass, which is the Arcana Cleric.
Yes.
So, if you're new to the channel or to the Subclass Series, what we're going to do is go through all the abilities gained in this subclass. Then we're going to rate it based on its roleplay value, combat value, and overall class synergy, based on how the abilities gained in this subclass improve on the base class abilities. Boom. Also, we are doing a giveaway for the new Tasha's Cauldron of Everything book that is coming out in November. So if you want to be entered in that giveaway, please comment, subscribe, like, and if you want, you can hit the bell notifications to know if you actually win. When you watch the video, when
you won't know if you win.
Yeah. So, definitely going to be an awesome book, so make sure you get entered in that.
Indeed.
So, without any further ado, we're going to jump straight into it. Sir Alex, take it away.
Indeed. I get spells. Yay! Magic. So you do get, as with all the cleric domains, you do get some freebie spells. Grand majority of these are going to be RP based, with a couple of exceptions early on. Yes. Detect Magic, Magic Missile, Magic Weapon, Nistel's Magic Aura, Dispel Magic, Magic Circle, Arcane Eye, Leomund's Secret Chest, Planar Binding, and Teleportation Circle. With the exception of the Magic Missile and Magic Weapon. Those are all going to be used outside of your combat things, but all very wizard, sorcery, based spells. Definitely. Arcane Initiate. This is one that super simple, but Alex really, really likes for a very specific reason. When you choose this domain at first level, you gain the proficiency in the Arcana skill, so free skills, always fun. You gain 2 cantrips of your choice from the wizard spell list, and for you, these cantrips count as cleric cantrips. It's a lot of C words in there.
Yes, alliteration.
So, indeed. But you think, oh, okay, 2 free cantrips, okay, whatever, fine. Hold on, this is important. Clerics normally, as someone who currently plays one, do not have access normally to ranged spell attack cantrips. All of their ranged cantrips are all saving throw based. And a lot of the time, when you get into the fighting more difficult things, they've got some bonuses to their saving throws. So you have a lot higher chance that they, succeed your saving throw against your cantrip, and all of a sudden now you've done 0 damage with your cantrip. But, as you scale up and your spell, ranged spell attack modifier continues to climb, you'll have at least a better chance. It may not be significantly higher, but it'll be a better chance of hitting with a ranged spell attack against their AC of 18, 19, 20 versus them saving against your spell save DC of 16, 17, 18. Right. So it may be a 40% chance versus 50% chance, but that's still better.
Right.
But it also gives you the option that you normally would not have. So, it's very simple, but very, very impactful for a cleric to have extra options.
Level 2, we have a Channel Divinity option, known as the Arcane Abjuration. As an action, you present your holy symbol, and 1 celestial, elemental, fey, or fiend of your choice within 30 feet must make a wisdom saving throw, provided the creature can see or hear you. If the creature fails its saving throw, it is turned for 1 minute or until it takes any damage. Creature must spend its turn trying to move as far away from you as it can, and can't willingly end its move in a space within 30 feet of you. It also can't take reactions. For its action, it can only use the dash action, or try to escape from an effect that prevents it from moving. If there's nowhere to move the creature, you can use the dodge action. At 5th level, when it fails to save against your Arcane Aberration feature, the creature is banished for 1 minute as if the banishment spell, but no concentration required. If it isn't on its plan of origin and its challenge rating is at or below a certain threshold, as shown on the Arcane Banishment table, which I'll put up on screen. So at level 17 is the max for that. It's going to be a CR4 or lower. So you're not going to be ever impacting anything at super high levels with the banishment side, but you don't necessarily care about the banishment side when you are frightening, essentially, something that has to use its action. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, usually with the frightening condition, they just have disadvantage on their attack rolls while you're in line of sight kind of thing, but they can still attack. Mm-hmm. With this, they have to move away, use their action, so it's actually better than that. But it is very specific on the types of creatures that it can be used on, and it's only 1, and it's compared to like Turn Undead, which is everything within a range. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Then at level 6, we have Spellbreaker. When you restore hit points to an ally with a spell of 1st level or higher, you can also end 1 spell of your choice on that creature. The level of the spell must be equal to or lower than the level of the spell slot you use to cast the healing spell. Definitely can be very interesting. We'll get back to that when we get to the combat section of the rating portion.
Indeed. Your last 2 abilities, at level 8, you get to add your wisdom modifier to all the damage you deal with any cleric cantrip with potent spellcasting. Simple enough. Finally, at level 17, so a big gap between level 8 and level 17, the subclass isn't giving you anything besides your free spells, obviously, and your Channel Divinity ability scaling up.
Right.
So, at level 17, you choose 4 spells from the wizard spell list. 1/6, 1/7, 1/8, and 1/9, and you add them to your list of domain spells, meaning they are always prepared, do not count toward your prepared spell list.
Yeah.
So you're getting a free 6, free 7, free 8, and free 9 in terms of one you always have ready to go off the wizard spell list. Fun. And yeah, just the fact that it just gives you more choices, you don't have to worry about preparing them. Makes you be maybe more free to have that big heal spell from choosing to prepare a cleric one, knowing you can get a big offensive spell or a support spell from the wizard list for free via this ability.
Very interesting, to say the least. But those are all the abilities gained in the subclass, so we'll move on to the rating portion first with the roleplay value. As always, asterisk. When we talk about the roleplay value, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order.
Right.
We're not talking about acting out your class fantasy, history, background, lore, all that stuff. That is on you. We're looking at the mechanics of the subclass based on the abilities gained.
Bingo.
That being said, a lot of these domain spells that you gain are very RP heavy.
Indeed.
There's lots of stuff you can do with these different spells. I mean, we're getting Arcane Eye, we can spy on things, we have Dispel Magic, Detect Magic, Teleportation Circle.
Teleporting clerics.
Yes, being able to teleport is a pretty big deal.
Sure.
Planar Binding, while interesting, is probably going to be very rarely ever used because it's just not a very common spell to actually be able to use, and takes quite a while to actually get this effect to take place,
Indeed.
Barring all the other circumstances.
Yeah.
But definitely more on the RP side because you're not going to be able to use it in combat. But that being said, lots of interesting things on the domain spell list. The Arcane Initiate, when you get to choose your 2 wizard cantrips that count as cleric cantrips.
Bingo.
They could be taken for RP senses. So you could take something like Prestidigitation or Thaumaturgy if you wanted to.
Or any cantrip because you're a wizard.
You could take one RP cantrip and one attack cantrip, so that you get a little bit more diversification if you'd like to. Channel Divinity could definitely be used outside of combat as well. If you're trying to barter with a fiend or celestial elemental fae, you could essentially super frighten them, and that would maybe help with your intimidation check or whatever you're doing to negotiate with that creature.
Indeed.
So definitely some uses in that outside of combat. Spellbreaker can be used out of combat as well. If they have any lingering effects from something that was cast on them, you can end those, assuming, if your DM makes you make an Arcana check or something to determine the spell level, if you don't already know. But that's up to your DM on that side of things. Point spellcasting, that's damage, so nothing really to worry about that. Arcane Mastery, getting a 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th level spell. You can take things like Major Image or other RP-based spells from the Wizard spell list that you would otherwise not have access to. So definitely have the option to take some RP things there as well. So we went with a 4 out of 5 for the roleplay value. Surprisingly enough, was not what we initially had in mind. But the more we discussed it, the more we're like, there's a lot of RP potential in this, especially with the options you take. Now, you don't have to go full RP on some of the stuff if you don't want, but you definitely have the option to if you so desire.
Lots of choices to be had with the way the subclass is built for you. On the combat side of things, this was an interesting one because both campaign and individual encounter specific combat with this can be or holy crap. Because starting off with the more helping with the floor side of things, Arcane Initiate, and like as I explained a little bit earlier, just giving you access to a ranged attack cantrip, and the first one that pops into my head, obviously, for a wizard is Firebolt.
Right.
Giving you a ton of range, a D10, which is a good damage die for a cantrip that normally clerics don't have access to, range spell attack cantrips. So you get a lot of versatility with your cantrips starting out at level 1, so that's nice. Plus the Arcana checks you test with a little fun magic stuff with.
Yes.
Being able to, besides your base Channel Divinity ability of messing with undead, being able to target 4 other creature types could be huge, because a lot of times celestial elementals and fiends can get pretty nasty.
Yeah, they can be some big bad
even
boys.
Even if you just make them skip a turn, you skip it using your turn to make him skip his turn. That's good value. Is what that is. And Spellbreakers where stuff gets a little silly. Because this was the thing that he brought up to me when we were first. He's like, "Man, this is kind of meh." And then like, but wait, if this happens. So the key part to remember there is you can also end a spell of your choice on that creature. No saving throw, no check, no nothing. One of your allies has been held person. Level 2 hold person. I'm going to throw a level 2 cure wounds into him.
Hey,
You are now no longer held.
Right.
Where it gets really stupid is the very specific point that Jameson brought up. You know what? I'm going to let you have the light here.
Sure. So let's say you had, for example, an upcast hold person that targeted your whole party, but since you're a wisdom-based spellcaster, you make the save and everyone else fails. Or say someone casts slow on your party, or someone used hypnotic pattern, or an upcast sleep spell, or any kind of other ability that's going to target multiple party members. Well, you can cast a mass healing word or an upcast mass healing word and heal all of your party members and cleanse them of whatever debuff essentially is on them. No rolls. Pretty strong in those circumstances.
So not always going to be super impactful, but when it's there, and that's why I say this can be how impactful this is going to be. It's going to be super niche depending on your campaign. Quickly, the other two things that are left: potent spellcasting, just letting you add your wisdom modifier to your cleric cantrip damage. Nothing exciting, but helps out with your damage floor offensively. Right. And finally, Arcane Mastery, getting to choose a 6, 7, 8, and 9th level spell from the wizard spell list you wouldn't normally have access to.
Right.
Gives you access to some real fun stuff that you may not have, that you wouldn't normally have as a cleric.
Right.
Meteor Swarm.
Yes.
Can I as a cleric, I walk out of the church with my pad on and drop 40d6 on somebody? I rain holy fire from the sky. Yes.
That's how it's
the
done.
answer is yes. Because basically the way this class is themed around is like, would you like to be cleric? Would you like to feel what a wizard feels like? Ta-da.
Been known to dabble from time to time. The wizarding things.
I dabble. So, number-wise,
yes,
because it just hit me, we gave it a 3. And it's overall,
a lot of talking up,
and a lot of talking up for a 3 because I wanted to specify and stress like how big it can be, but those big moments could be very few and far between. You might be 10 or 15 sessions before you do anything besides cancel
that any other cleric wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
Right. Yeah. So it
is definitely
can be nuts when it happens, but
now if your campaign is focused on celestial, elemental, fae, or fiends, it's going to be a lot better.
There's a lot of enemy magic users in general.
If you run into lots of spellcasters, then this is going to be a lot better because you're able to end their spellcasting abilities.
Without having to have counterspell and things like that.
Right. But, again, there's going to be the asterisk as to how your DM actually interprets you being able to determine the spell level of the spell's cast.
That also matters.
So, if he's nice and just tells you, that's one thing. But if he's like, nah, you got to roll a check, or you just don't know, that could really put a big
thankfully, that giving you the proficiency in the Arcana check would probably help with that as well. You just know more about magic.
And then also, you have to wait quite a while. You don't get between 8 and 17. That's a long time to not get anything other than, just your spell domain stuff here.
And your arcane banishment scaling up.
That is what it is. That's kind of how it fell on the 3.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's one of those things where it can be super good, but it can also be super mediocre depending on a couple of different factors.
Indeed.
Then lastly, we have the overall class synergy. Kind of touched on a lot of the main points already with how these things function, especially with situational uses of things. And it kind of falls into the same trap of a lot of the other clerics where they get some synergy with their channel divinity because they're getting that. You get your potent spellcasting instead of your regular D8 of X damage to your melee attacks. You're getting something for your clerics. You get a bit more range ability here.
Giving you a couple extra cantrips, I think it works with synergy too. Just helps you keep some options free for other things.
Some versatility.
And some of these other RP spells that you either wouldn't have access to, or like detect magic, you do have access to as a cleric, but you have to worry about preparing it so you can cast it ritually.
Right.
It handles that for you, so it frees up for you to maybe go more for healing and offensive spells from your actual choosing to prepare spell list.
So that being said, we just went with a 3 as well for the class overall class synergy. So it is what it is. Definitely a very interesting subclass
for sure.
To be able to kind of get some wizard spells, but without having to go into intelligence
or having a health pool that's tiny.
Yeah, right. So there is that.
Or being a paperweight.
Definitely a very interesting option.
Sure, absolutely.
To kind of get some of the feel of a wizard without being a wizard, the squishiness and a little bit lower risk for a little bit lower reward.
Sure.
So it is what it is. But that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. If you like the video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so our new videos are coming out. Remember also comment down below make sure you're entered in that contest or giveaway.
I'm gonna find us a bell, like an actual bell.
Yeah,
I need to bring one on there.
Should have one of these. But
I'll get that.
yeah, it's gonna be an awesome book, guys. Make sure you comment down below. We always love to hear your stories about any of your experiences playing with or as, our cleric. We always look to hear your stories. So
yeah, I can admit the couple of times I have run one shots to give this guy a break from DMing, I have stolen and or modified some suggestions from the comments about some NPC ideas and ability mashing ideas, and I know he has too, because there's been some off the wall stuff we've seen. So
yes.
Both thanks and what's wrong with you at the same time.
Yep, but that's gonna wrap it up for this one, guys. As always, thanks for watching.